As soon as the flames are extinguished at this home in Bemidji, Minnesota, investigators rule it a case of arson and murder. The homeowner, Melissa Norby's body, found under a mattress.
How was Melissa murdered?
She's fully clothed. She's duct taped, bound. She was choked.
Hours into the investigation, Amanda Smith tells cops that Melissa was babysitting her 5-year-old daughter the night of the fire.
So here you are, grieving the loss of your best friend of 30 years and not knowing where your daughter is.
Right.
The burned-out home and neighborhood are thoroughly searched, but the little girl is nowhere to be found.
We thought they were wrong. We didn't believe them.
Michelle Rogowski is the girl's godmother.
At what point were you told this was arson?
Because of the way things looked, everybody figured that right from the start. The way the house was burned and stuff didn't look like an accident.
Who were police looking at?
They told us nothing in the beginning.
Cops were already looking at the missing girl's parents.
You have to say, wait a second here. What's mom and dad's role in this?
The night of the fire, cops learned Melissa's son had left to stay with relatives while she and the girl had a sleepover.
Amanda tells me she allowed her daughter to stay here at Missy's house at least 20 different times over the course of her little life. This is someone Amanda trusted, someone she knew for 30 years.
The cops haul in Amanda and the girl's father for questioning, and their phones are searched.
Did you have any idea where she was?
No, none at all.
And you had no idea who would want to take her or hurt her?
Right.
After a few hours, investigators were fairly certain Brittany's parents had no involvement in their daughter's disappearance.
I'm trusting my gut, and I'm like, these are parents who are truly concerned about their missing 5-year-old.
That's also when they begin to realize the magnitude of what they were dealing with.
The dots didn't connect to any of us until we were several hours into the investigation.
By now, investigators wonder, did someone murder Melissa and set fire to her house, all in an elaborate ruse to kidnap the little girl?
It's the worst news you could get. And as an investigator, we're behind the 8 ball already because we didn't immediately know that we had a missing child.
The search for a killer arsonist had quickly turned into a frantic search for a 5-year-old girl.
Who were some of the persons of interest you looked at, besides Amanda and Scott?
She had an ex-boyfriend that she saw. They'd broken off for several years, and then it was rekindled.
Detectives Heather Holden and Michelle Leffelman immediately track Melissa's ex-boyfriend.
Was he cooperative?
He was. He had a conviction for an arson fire in the past. That was definitely a concern that he could be our suspect at that point.
But the ex-boyfriend's alibi checks out, so cops began building a lengthy list of other possible suspects.
When we found out we had a missing 5-year-old from the scene, it expanded exponentially at that point, and we just looked at all of our predatory offenders in the city and county and started asking for consent to search their homes.
Cops questioned one of Melissa's neighbors, who babysat her son from time to time.
Allegedly, Melissa and him had a sexual relationship.
But he was also cleared, along with many others.
At that point, we're talking to everyone that our decedent is talking to on social media, anyone that she had dated in the past, neighbors, co-workers. We're talking to everybody who knows our victim.
Those talks would yield investigative gold. During a conversation with one of Melissa's friends, investigators soon learned disturbing details about the single mom's sex life.
Melissa was very into, it's not S&M, but more like daddy, little girl kind of scenarios that she was playing out with Chance.
Tuesday Colopy tells cops Chance is the name Melissa gave to a man she had been secretly dating on and off. She claims at times the sex was rough and had even turned violent.
It ended in him punching her and choking her out and putting her over the back of the SUV and raping her.
Tuesday isn't the only friend Melissa confided in about her relationship. After a few more interviews, detectives learn Chance's real name is Jake, and he owns a food truck called Jake's Eats. They immediately know who everyone is talking about.
We discovered that our dead victim was dating Jacob Kinn. And we knew Jacob Kinn, we knew his history, and we went, oh my God.
Jacob Kinn was a registered sex offender, well known to law enforcement in Bemidji.
And what was his past criminal history?
He actually put an ad out on Craigslist asking to take photos of a young girl. And we, the sheriff's office here, sent an undercover deputy. She posed as the mother of a 9-year-old girl. And he was convicted on some charges related to that.
Jacob Kinn was still on probation for that offense. But now he was also the prime suspect in the murder of Melissa Norby and the kidnapping of a 5-year-old girl. Cops needed to find him quickly.
At that point, we are scrambling to try to figure out where he is. How do we find him, and how do we find her?
Detectives Holden and Luffelman were the first to arrive at Jacob's house.
We went out to the house that he had and searched that at about 10:30 at night.
But hearts sink when they see no sign of Jacob or the girl. So detectives hatch a plan to get some help from Jacob's probation officer.
We had probation call him, a non-threatening phone call. Hey, we have a missing child. Police would like to talk to you about it. And he agreed to come in and meet us.
Up next, Jacob Kinn gets grilled by detectives. What he didn't know that they did.
Where were you when Tiffany called you?
And with no evidence to hold him, cops try everything to keep their prime suspect from walking out the door.
You're not going. Sit down.
No,
Sit down.
you said I was free to leave.
This is someone who was already on your radar, in a small sense.
Yeah, it was a name that we knew.